People often say that the two best Six Flags parks are Great Adventure and Magic Mountain, and somehow, just somehow, I have been to both of these parks, so I thought it would be a fun video to do a little head versus head battle on which is the better park. We will mainly talk about coasters, but we will talk about a few things beyond just that. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the best Six Flags park. Our first battle is between Green Lantern and Riddler's Revenge. Now these are two B&M stand-up coasters. My first ride on Riddler's Revenge, I hated it and labeled all stand-up coasters as absolutely terrible. My ride on Green Lantern broke that idea in my head and made me realize that stand-up coasters were quirky, intense rides. My re-rides on Riddler's Revenge reaffirmed these ideas, and I am where I am now. I mildly like B&M stand-ups. Now it's crazy that one of the worst B&M stand-ups opened my eyes to liking this model, but that's what happened. However, Riddler's Revenge is still the objectively better ride, it's more intense, has more to offer, and it is generally a lot smoother. People say it is the best B&M standing coaster on the planet, and it definitely is if you ignore Pipeline of course, so it wins Magic Mountain a point here. Next up is the battle of the hypercoasters, Goliath versus Nitro. Now is this even a competition? This is David versus Goliath, except Goliath is David, so it is just David versus David, but David is actually Goliath, so it's just reverse David Goliath. Perfect. Anyways, Goliath is an absolute terrible excuse of a hypercoaster. If you're gonna build a coaster that tall and put that much money into it, at least make it do something other than blow wind in your face and be an upscale family coaster. I mean, if you try really hard to imagine it, there might be some airtime, but otherwise it's just the one helix that does remotely anything. Nitro, on the other hand, is a solid hypercoaster that I think has good forces. You see, my one visit to Great Adventure, I had a Six Flags day and missed like a good handful of the coasters there because they were closed. You'll see which ones as the videos goes on. Anyways, Nitro is just better. Not up for debate, not even on the table, not even a question from the start. Six Flags Great Adventure won, Magic Mountain also won. Next up are some clones. Six Flags, being their lovely selves, absolutely love spending money on premium products. So we have clones. Now the first set of clones we're going to talk about is Batman versus Batman. Now these are both Batman clones, so there's not much to it. These clones are solid rides that are super intense and a bit short. When I visited Great Adventure, they were doing work on the lift hill, so I did not get a chance to ride it. However, it is how with Magic Mountain, it is literally the same exact coaster. Another clone B&M is Medusa and Scream. These are actually mirror image layouts of each other, though Scream is held in so much lesser regard. Scream has a somewhat rough train, it's not that bad, and the color scheme makes me want to puke. It is a parking lot coaster and it is just an eyesore to look at. Medusa, on the other hand, has a solid color scheme along with some very light theming. Now when I visited Great Adventure, this whole area of the park was closed, so I didn't get to ride Medusa, but like I said, I had a Six Flags day. Anyways, Medusa is a lot better than Scream, but it's not enough to justify awarding a point to Great Adventure, so we'll leave it at a tie. Okay, the next clone is Wonder Woman Flight of Courage versus Jersey Devil. Now these clones are totally different. My rides in Jersey Devil were some of the most lackluster, disappointing rides of any coaster in my entire life. It legit felt like nothing. Forceless, slow, rattly, I am dead serious. Now my rides on Wonder Woman Flight of Courage are the exact opposite. Extremely forceful, fast, relentless, still a bit rattly, it felt like a proper RMC single rail. Now Wonder Woman Flight of Courage is my favorite RMC Raptor, yes, even more than Railblazer, but I think it deserves that spot. It seriously has the best moment of airtime in the entire park. The first drop in the back row is something to die for. So Wonder Woman wins a point for Magic Mountain here, Great Adventure 1, Magic Mountain 2. Next up is the battle of Intamin launch coasters that just happen to be really tall. Superman was technically the tallest coaster in the world upon opening, but good thing King Kong was there to say that it's not, because reverse freefall, like what a joke to the coaster world. It's kind of crazy to me that Superman is kind of still technically the second tallest coaster in the world before Falcon's Flight and Top Thrill 2 open, because it is such a cheesed way to hold a record, and the coaster itself doesn't go anywhere near the top of the track. Now for Superman Escape from Krypton, I haven't ridden it facing backwards, but facing forwards in the front row, it's fine. There's some good wind, there's some positive G's, there's some weightlessness, but overall it just does not feel scary for a coaster of that size. On the other hand, King Kong has you super anxious for the ride, and just seeing a coaster being sent up its launch track is a sight to see. It's exhilarating and everything I want in this type of coaster. Though I still can't stop myself from saying it's just a gimmick at the end of the day. Anyways, King Kong wins a point for Great Adventure, the score is now tied up at 2. Up next is the battle of the flying coasters, but is this even a competition? I am a self-proclaimed flying coaster fanboy after my rides on Tatsu, so I've always wanted to ride more flying coasters, especially Fly, and I'm not gonna even lie, Superman disappointed. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because of how boring it was. The pretzel loop was amazing, but without the view on top of Magic Mountain, all the other elements just did not seem as fun. Also, Tatsu's pretzel loop is just so much better from the very start. So Magic Mountain 3, Great Adventure 2. This is kind of a funny matchup, but it makes total sense if you think about it. X2 versus Joker. Now Joker is a cloned 4D free spin that sucks so much, and X2 is a world-class 4-dimensional coaster that does absolutely demonic things to its riders. X2 is literally 3 of a kind, and the experience can't be replicated anywhere else in America. Joker is quite literally the opposite, with 11 editions and 9 of them operating in North America. It's pathetic, and it's also a joke of a ride. X2 is a bit rattly, but it's worth it, and it adds to the experience, except for that Raven turn. God, that thing is terrible. The 4D free spin clones are just uncomfortable and not fun, and it's not even up for debate. Magic Mountain increases the lead with 4 points, Great Adventure is still at 2. Next up is the Battle of Wood Coasters, and you have El Toro versus Apocalypse. And now this is my most saddest experience as a coaster enthusiast. You know, El Toro hasn't been doing so hot these past couple of years, and I think it's safe to say it has a pretty bright future and I don't have to worry about completely missing it, but I did miss El Toro on my trip to Great Adventure, which sucks, I know, but it's whatever, I'll be back to ride it. Apocalypse is a pretty average, maybe slightly above average wood coaster. In my eyes, it doesn't stand up against its West Coast counterparts in Ghost Rider and Gold Striker, but it definitely is up there. Now, El Toro is world class, and I know it's going to be amazing, but it still leaves me with an empty spot in my heart. Anyways, it definitely wins here for being an absolutely insane wood coaster. Magic Mountain 4, Great Adventure 3. Our last couple of battles are a bit more questionable as we are squeezing the rest of the lineups out, but trust me, it makes sense. Runaway Mine Train versus Gold Rusher. Now, neither of these are amazing rides. They're both aero mine trains that just meander in circles and are very, very similar to each other. However, Runaway Mine Train has a what the hell just happened moment with one of its final hills where it delivers RMC-like ejector. It's not very comfortable with the aero lap bars, but it's there and boy do people love it. So with that in mind, Great Adventure ties it up at 4-4. The last battle we are going to do is Flash Vertical Velocity versus Full Throttle. This kind of makes sense because both these are launch shuttle coasters, but just try really hard to imagine it's a fair fight. Now this might be a little unfair because Flash hasn't opened yet, but I'm gonna put it ahead of Full Throttle. I love New Gen Vekoma and everything about them. Their new Super Boomerang looks amazing and I really dig it. I just hope it doesn't become the next Batman clone or Boomerang, because once it becomes overly populated, it loses all of its draw. But anyways, I think it's gonna be a solid ride and I think it's gonna beat Full Throttle. On the other hand, Full Throttle has amazing forces, good hang time, good ejector, some positives, but it just feels like half of a coaster. Flash is also going to suffer from this problem, but that is kind of understandable given what it's supposed to do. Full Throttle just feels incomplete, and that's kind of why I think Flash is going to be better. If Full Throttle just had one more element with all the speed it kills, then sure, it's better than Flash, but I just don't think it's going to be, but you can all prove me wrong when Flash opens. Six Flags Great Adventure takes the lead 5-4. Now the thing that Magic Mountain has is strength in numbers, so we're going to give them some points for all the leftover coasters they have that Great Adventure does not have an answer for. The first one is Twisted Colossus. This is an incredibly unique dueling RMC iBox that is probably a tad bit overrated. There's also the unique dueling West Coast Racers that actually duels like it's supposed to, and it's not a letdown every time you visit the park, so 2 points there, 1 for Twisted Colossus and 1 for West Coast Racers. Magic Mountain also has Viper, which is a crazy aero looper that has stood the test of time and seems to be skating on thin ice recently. I really hope it stays, but it looks like it's on the chopping block for the next huge expansion. With another point there, Magic Mountain takes the lead 7-4. One thing that I think is deserving of a point is Great Adventure's family coaster offerings. Dark Knight combined with Skull Mountain is enough to get them a point for at least attempting to make a fully fledged out indoor coaster. Skull Mountain sucks, Dark Knight is decent, but the score is now 7-5. Now for those of you wondering, the flat rides basically tie. Magic Mountain has a big frisbee, Great Adventure also has a big frisbee. Great Adventure has the tallest drop tower in the world, Magic Mountain has the second tallest drop tower in the world. It's potatoes. So no points can be given there, and as for other things, I hate Magic Mountain, and seeing it win is just not true because it literally is the inferior Six Flags park. Even with my Six Flags day at Great Adventure, I'm not complaining. I visited in the off season and they were doing maintenance to get ready for peak season. El Toro opened a few months after I visited, Nitro opened 4 days after I visited, that was painful, and Batman only took a couple of weeks, so I just got unlucky. Now Six Flags Magic Mountain, holy crap, what a pull. First off, I'm going to give Great Adventure a point for operations. They don't run any of their coasters like X2. Imagine the most popular ride in the park with the most complex loading procedure out of any ride out there is running one train. It's absolutely abysmal. A 1 hour wait turns into 3 hours quickly. It's a pain to see. And that's if X2 is even open. Six Flags did do some maintenance on it recently, so knock on wood it helps, but it's just a terrible sight to see. I'm going to give Great Adventure another point for having animals and being a fully fledged out zoo on top of an amusement park. I'm going to combine this with the fact that Great Adventure is trying to become a resort park with their overnight offerings, and Magic Mountain does not offer a unique experience like that. So with that, we are tied at 7-7. And now I pick who wins because I'm the all-seer and the all-knower, but for real, both these parks are amazing, and it is completely fair to say that either one is the best Six Flags park, but I just think Six Flags Great Adventure is a better experience, and it's just not a That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, join the Discord link in the description. Let me know if you agree with my decisions in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.